Boogie, drop that beat.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Talking Out Loud with Miss Talkative. Everything I say is my own opinion, alleged, and strictly entertainment purposes. Remember, I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on the video, let me know what you think. So now Martell decides he wants to spill some more of the tea on the Scots when he should have been checking them every time they tried to punk him. Because the Scots, they've been punking Martell for seasons, but he was so doggone dumb, he didn't see it. He had his focus on melody till he didn't see or didn't realize what the Scots were actually doing to him. But in my opinion, I believe part of the reason Martell has not exposed the Scots is simply as a favor to Carlos. Whatever Carlos, I believe Carlos is pulling out mad favors for the Scots, because and you know, we the people, we think that Martell is Carlos' favorite. Now I believe the Scots are ultimately Carlos' favorite, and he's going to pull out all the stops to make sure that the Scots are fine, even when it comes to Martell, and not having Martell expose them, because it was either last reunion or the reunion prior. Martell had put out a statement where he was talking about he was going to act the fool at the reunion, and people automatically assume, because of what was going on during the season, that Martell was about to go after the Scots and start exposing them. But instead, when it came time for the reunion, it was just the same old mess that Martell does, where he's throwing out his little subliminals and, you know, throwing out his little tidbits of information and reeling back in and shutting it down, calling it the bro code. So I really believe that the Scots, when Martell put that statement out saying he was going to act the fool, I believe that the Scots called Carlos and he had a talk with Martell, talked him down, and put Martell focus back on melody. And because the Scots, they viewed Martell as some type of, you know, some dumb country bumpkin that they can use, they did. The Scott brothers, they sought out Martell to help ruin his mess, ruin everything. Marceau saying that he don't have respect for Martell. The Scott boys, they never had respect for Martell, which is why the Scott boys were willing to help him cheat, that led to him breaking up his marriage, ruining his livelihood, because they didn't like Martell being, you know, well off and being in Melody's company, especially Marceau, because he's in love with Melody. And because Maurice thinks that he's the person, that he's smarter than everybody else. So at the time, I don't believe that Maurice's status was well, I don't think Maurice have a status at all, because Kimmy still taking care of him, in my opinion. But at the time when they were helping ruin Martell's marriage and his livelihood, I believe that they did that on purpose. The Scott boys, they see Martell as simply a mark that they used, and they helped him mess up his life in the process. And Martell, he was just too doggone ignorant and dumb to see it. Martell have sat by and watched the Scott boys put up a united front of never dealing with infidelity and being multimillionaires, where he's been outed for being the cheater that he is, and being broke, all because they made it seem as though they were Team Martell, when all the while they were setting up shop to get rid of both he and Melody. The Scots, they were looking to either have their own show or take over Love of Mary Tunstall, and the only people standing in their way was none other than Melody and Martell. So of course they're going to help. After they didn't ruin Martell, they knew Martell wasn't about nothing. They knew it was all smoke and mirrors coming from Martell. So of course they would help Martell take down Melody. But Martell, he's so dumb, he allowed the Scots to get him reduced to being a friend of love, being a friend of the show. And the people that's going to be in my comments saying Melody seems to only be a friend of the show as well, let me say this. I agree. Melody does seem like she's been reduced to just a friend of the show. But the gag is, that's why the ratings are low. Because, and not because of anything Melody has done. In my opinion, Carlos has allowed his hatred and jealousy for Melody to outweigh the fact of knowing that Melody is and always will be the star of Love and Mary Tunstall. And until Carlos realized that Melody is not replaceable, their ratings are always going to be in the toilet. Melody is being punished for being well received, well liked by the viewers. So Carlos does not like that. I don't think he wanted Melody to be a breakout star. So I believe that Melody is being punished to try to hold her status back. But if you really want to know, that's why they're on a hiatus now, because probably OWN told Carlos that he better get them ratings up, or else he gonna be tossed out and looking for another network to work for. But anyway, Martell staying loyal to the Scots all this time when they were never loyal to him, I believe it was mostly Carlos' idea. But now, after supposedly or whatever, after Marceau has made a comment regarding Martell's DV conviction, Martell supposedly had enough, and he's starting to spill some more of the Scots tea, knowing that either Carlos is not going to let it air, or because the Scots, they're going to, because all we seen was the trailer. So in the little bit that spilled, it's not, I think that's, I don't know if that's going to be the gist of it, but I can reassure you that the Scots, they were on the phone with Carlos and probably had whatever else Martell said stricken or edited out, whatever. But the Scots, they've been laughing at Martell for years, and Martell has just sat back and taken it, like I say, as, in my opinion, as a favor to Carlos. Like when they laughed at him for not passing the builder's test, it's okay to like do their little friendly back and forth, but the Scots, they go low and get indignant with theirs, and they really been punking Martell for years. The Scots, they used Martell for Tisha's storyline when she refused Martell back into Scope, when Melody, his ex-wife, is the person that got their business established as a favor to Martell. And the Scots, they knew Martell was having a hard time, and he still kept their secrets and stayed friends with them. But how do they thank him or repay him? They don't. They continue to punk him. They don't need him no more. So they don't owe him anything. They don't have no, like Marceau said, they don't have any respect for him. They couldn't even, when Martell brought the Scots to Melody to help them learn property preservation because they were down on their luck. Marceau couldn't find a job. And when Martel needed the favor returned because he needed work, the Scots was like, oh no, you can't come back here. And he's the one that helped them get the company. That shows you right there. The Scots never had any type of respect for Martel. All the Scots have said and done to Martel, and he has refused to expose them, all because of his loyalty to Carlos. Not to the Scots, to Carlos. Carlos made Martel think the Scots were on his side because they were attacking Melody. No, the Scots are only on they're only on their own side. The Scots have no loyalty to nobody but each other. It's always been the Scots against everybody else. The Scots, they don't help attack Melody because of Martel. The Scots help attack Melody because of her backing out of that 47 acres deal and the fact that it left them scrambling for money and storylines. Martel's so dumb, he really believed that the Scots were his friends. They've been playing Martel from the beginning. But Martel and Yugmouth, if they hadn't been so consumed with attacking Melody, trying to ruin her because people were finding out that he was just living in Melody's shadows, he could have been on it. He would have seen it. But the fact that Melody was actually giving Martel way more grace than he needed or that he actually deserved, his hatred and his bed buddy wouldn't allow him to focus on what needed to be focused on. And that was actually the Scots who was actually taking advantage, who had actually taken advantage of him. Because had Martel just focused on co-parenting with Melody, he could have seen the Scots for who they actually are. And, what they were attempting to do. The Scots, I believe the Scots are just as cutthroat as Martel, with a little more sneakiness and underhandedness. And Martel allowed the Scots to show him up on his own show. Martel lost his whole way of living behind hanging with the Scots and being friends with the Scots. Martel didn't expose anything on the people that helped him ruin his life. Love and Marriage Huntsville was created by Martel's ex-wife, but the Scots seem like they're trying to infiltrate and take over. And Martel, he should have seen the Scots coming a mile away, but he wasn't poised. He should have never screwed over Melody, and the Scots would have never been able to reduce Martel to the lowest form that he's at now. Martel should have been blazing. And even after Martel and Melody separated, Martel still should have been up on the Scots. Martel should have been blazing the Scots every single time they got out of pocket. Instead, he allowed them to all get away with being so comfortable and being cocky. Even after the Scots talked about their kids, and I don't care if it was Wanda that was doing the talking about the kids. She's one of the Scots, or she wants to be a Scot, which is why she's always windmilling for them, ungrateful lowlifes. But like I say, Martel, he should have been reminded, the Scots, why they should always remain humble. And that's just my opinion. I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on the video. Let me know what you think.